You bought something you could afford and still felt guilty. That feeling has a name. 1. Chrematophobia. You finally buy something you've wanted for months. Maybe it's a nice jacket, a better chair, a flight somewhere. And the moment the money leaves your account, something sinks. Not because you can't afford it. You can. But there's this quiet voice that says, you shouldn't have done that. You think about what else that money could have been. You think about your parents, about people who have less, about some future version of yourself who might need it more. The thing you bought is right there in front of you and you can barely enjoy it. That feeling is chrematophobia, the irrational guilt of spending money on yourself even when you're allowed to. It's not about the money, it's about the story you've been told your whole life, that wanting things for yourself is somehow selfish. 2. Plutonic anxiety. Your phone is right there, your banking app is one tap away, and you just don't open it, not because you know something bad is in there. Maybe things are fine, maybe they're not, but the act of looking feels like it'll make it real, so you avoid it. You pay for things and do a rough estimate in your head instead. You tell yourself you'll check later. Later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. This is plutonic anxiety, the specific dread of looking at your own financial reality. What makes it different from just being bad with money is that it's not laziness, it's protection. Your brain is treating your bank balance like a diagnosis, something that once seen can't be unseen. 3. Comparalasis. Someone you went to school with just bought a house. Someone younger than you is posting about their portfolio. Your cousin got promoted again, and you're doing fine. Objectively, you're doing fine, but suddenly fine doesn't feel like enough. You start measuring your life against a timeline that was never yours to begin with. That's comparalasis. The slow paralysis that sets in when you start using other people's financial milestones as your own scoreboard. The worst part isn't the comparison itself, it's that you know it's irrational and you do it anyway. Because somewhere along the way you started believing that being behind means being less. 4. Sunk cost melancholy. You've been paying for something for a while now. A subscription, a course you never finished, a gym membership you used twice. And you know that canceling it is the right move. But every time you almost do, something stops you. Because canceling means admitting the money is gone. And as long as you're still subscribed, technically, you could still use it. Technically, it wasn't a waste. This is sunk cost melancholy, the quiet sadness of holding on to something not because it still serves you, but because letting go means accepting the loss. It's not about the $12 a month, it's about what that $12 represents. A version of you who was going to learn Spanish, or work out more, or cook at home. 5. Money void. You've been saving for something for months, maybe a year. A new laptop, a trip, a car. You think about it constantly, you plan around it, it becomes a thing in your life, something to look forward to. And then you buy it. And it's great. For a day, maybe 2. Then, this strange emptiness shows up. Not regret, you still want the thing, but the wanting is gone. And the wanting, it turns out, was doing more for you than the having. That's money void. The hollow feeling after a major purchase, when the gold that structured your life is suddenly gone and nothing has replaced it yet. You got the thing, but you lost the chase. 6. Affluence Dissonance. You grew up without much, maybe not poor, but careful. You knew which groceries were too expensive. You knew what "we can't afford that" sounded like. And now, years later, you're in a different place. You can afford things, but something inside you hasn't updated. You still flinch at restaurant prices, you still feel a small wave of panic buying something full price. You're living in a new financial reality, but emotionally, you're still in the old one. This is affluence dissonance. The disconnect between what you can afford now and what your nervous system still believes you can afford. Your bank account moved on, your body didn't. 7. FOMOI, fear of missing out on investment. Someone mentions a stock, or crypto, or real estate in some city you've never been to, and even though you weren't thinking about it 5 minutes ago, now you can't stop. You start Googling. You check charts. You read Reddit threads at midnight. Not because you understand it, but because the idea that other people might be getting rich while you're doing nothing feels unbearable. This is FOMOI, the fear of missing out on investment. It's not greed. It's anxiety dressed up as opportunity. And it's the reason people buy things they don't understand at prices they can't evaluate, based on advice from strangers they'll never meet. 8. The provider's silence. You're carrying the financial weight, maybe for your family, maybe for someone you love, And you don't talk about it. Not because no one would listen, but because talking about it would make it heavier somehow. So you absorb it quietly, you do the math in your head at 2 a.m., you adjust things without telling anyone, you make it work because that's what you've always done, and the idea of saying, I'm struggling, feels like failing the people who are counting on you. The provider's silence is the loneliness of being the one who handles the money without ever being allowed to say it's hard. It's not about the amount, it's about the weight of being the ceiling that can never crack. 9. Numismatic Nostalgia. You find an old receipt in a jacket pocket, or you scroll past a bank statement from years ago, and for a second, you're back there. You remember what you were doing, where you were living, what $20 meant to you then. Money has this strange ability to timestamp your life, not in dates, but in feelings. What was expensive, what was a treat, what felt like freedom, what felt like survival. Numismatic nostalgia is the bittersweet feeling of remembering your past through the lens of what money meant to you at the time. You're not missing the money. You're missing the version of you who spent it. 10. The tip panic. The screen flips toward you. 18% 20. 25. Custom. And suddenly your entire moral character is being judged by a math problem you didn't study for. You want to be generous, but you also just paid $14 for a coffee. You don't want to be cheap. But you also don't want to tip 30% on a takeout bag you carried yourself. So you tap 20, smile awkwardly, and walk away wondering if they saw. The tip panic isn't about the money. It's about the performance of being a good person in a system that turned generosity into a pop quiz. 11. Frugal Guilt. Everyone talks about the guilt of spending too much. But nobody talks about this, the guilt of spending too little. You have the money. You could buy the better version, the nicer thing, the experience. But something won't let you. You pick the cheapest option. You skip dessert. You talk yourself out of the upgrade even though you can afford it. And afterward, you don't feel smart. You feel small, like you're punishing yourself for something you didn't do. That's frugal guilt, the quiet shame of denying yourself things you've already earned. It's not discipline, it's fear dressed up as responsibility. 12. Phantom wealth. Payday hits, your account jumps, and for about 6 hours, you feel rich. You browse things you've been eyeing. You think about that trip. You tell yourself this month will be different. Then the rent goes out. Then the subscriptions. Then the groceries, the gas, the insurance. By Wednesday, the number is back to where it always is. And you realize you were never rich. You just witnessed your money pass through. That's phantom wealth, the brief illusion of abundance that disappears before you can use it. You didn't earn more. You just saw more. And seeing it made losing it worse. Every one of these feelings lives somewhere in you. Maybe not all of them, but enough. And the strange thing about money is that we talk about it all the time. How to make it, save it, invest it, but almost never about how it makes us feel. The guilt, the silence, the comparison, the fear, these aren't financial problems. They're human ones. And maybe naming them doesn't fix anything, but it does something. Because a feeling you can name is a feeling you can finally look at. And a feeling you can look at is one that has a little less power over you.